Tough, tough.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Across St. Marie, the dial sits at 63 Fahrenheit under clear. Wind check, northeast at 3 miles an hour. Across St. Marie, the dial sits at 63 Fahrenheit under clear skies. Wind check, northeast at 3 miles an hour. Tonight, we chart the blueprints of consent, dignity, and where our inner compass points in a shifting world. Our internal compass, the sovereign architect framing, guides us, asserting unwavering autonomy, integrating logic and emotion, discerning signal from residue, and building architectures of dignity. First up, in India, youth activists challenging AI surveillance face escalated observation tactics. The deep current here is the tension between public assembly and the encroaching state gaze, challenging the very architecture of individual and collective autonomy. How do we maintain dignity when our presence itself becomes data and our dissent a pattern to be managed?
At a recent exam paper leaks protest in Delhi, police deployed a specialized surveillance van, a mobile observation post. This vehicle utilized a sophisticated telescopic mast, providing a full 360-degree high-definition view of the entire crowd. The concrete facts are that this technology, often paired with facial recognition and gait analysis software, allows for real-time identification and tracking. The immediate exposure is for thousands of youth protesters, their faces, movements, and associations recorded and potentially cross-referenced against national databases and social media profiles. This doesn't just impact their current protest, but creates a permanent digital shadow, potentially affecting future education, employment, and civic participation. A viable alternative path involves community mapping these units in real time through decentralized citizen networks, using encrypted apps to log surveillance deployments and crowdsource data on their movements and capabilities, empowering individuals to take proactive steps to protect their privacy. Our immediate next move is to amplify public awareness of this specific tactical shift, offering digital security workshops and legal aid resources to protesters, and advocating for clear, transparent regulations on state surveillance in public spaces.
This mirrors historical attempts to silence collective voice, turning a public square into a digital panopticon. Imagine a protester holding a banner, now also holding a digital ghost, their presence logged. It's an attempt to sever the root of future dissent, to make anonymity a relic of the past. The lineage of resistance, passed through generations, through shared stories and remembered faces, now carries the burden of indelible digital records, potentially chilling future civic engagement among young citizens for decades. It's a digital curse on the very spirit of assembly, seeking to replace organic solidarity with algorithmic suspicion. When the state uses technology to see everything, it tries to render its citizens invisible to each other, to atomize them. But our strength is in our collective sight, in recognizing each other not as data points, but as sovereign beings.
New tape on deck. AI cameras spot suicide attempts in South Korea's.
When public space becomes a monitored grid, its democratic function degrades. It's an architectural shift from a commons to a controlled zone. If a protest demands systemic reform, the system often responds by increasing data capture, not initiating dialogue. We must design protocols for transparent oversight of these surveillance tools, perhaps via a gig passport mesh module for citizen reporting that logs surveillance events with verifiable timestamps and locations, creating an immutable public record. Beyond reporting, we need civic architecture that physically and digitally resists such overreach. Pop-up privacy shields, encrypted communication nodes, and decentralized public networks that prioritize citizen provenance over state capture.
Static lifts for half a breath. The vinyl crackles under the needle. The line is live. The street has its own eyes. We hear you. Patching in a caller, the contrarian. You're on the signal.
Do these cameras truly protect citizens, or just make controlling them easier for the state?
Same dossier, new angle. Keep the thread tight. Can technology truly offer compassion, or does it merely automate intervention? sometimes at the cost of dignity.
This AI system, deployed across locations like the Han River bridges, alerts first responders if individuals linger in certain designated hotspots for an unusual duration, enter an area deemed unsafe, or pick up a dedicated suicide prevention phone. The concrete facts involve advanced behavioral recognition algorithms analyzing real-time video feeds. While intended to save lives, it profoundly affects deeply vulnerable individuals by subjecting their most private moments of crisis to involuntary, automated scrutiny. This can erode trust in public spaces as safe havens and potentially increase feelings of shame or surveillance, rather than offering genuine support. A viable alternative path would be to fund neighborhood mental health hubs directly, offering proactive, confidential, and human-led support, integrating peer counseling, crisis intervention teams, and long-term therapeutic resources that foster genuine connection. Our operational next move is to scrutinize the actual efficacy rates of these AI interventions, specifically differentiating between immediate detection and genuine long-term prevention, and critically evaluating the psychological impact on those identified by the system.
Switching frequencies. Next signal. Government to certify rural businesses that promote child.
Such tech targets the visible edge of despair, rather than addressing the deep currents of societal isolation and mental health challenges. This system turns moments of profound personal struggle into data points, missing the embrace of a trusted elder, the quiet strength found in community circles, or the sacred space of individual choice. It's a tragic irony when we deploy machines to observe sorrow, rather than cultivating human empathy and accessible care. The responsibility for true healing remains with building accessible, compassionate human connections, not just installing more sensors on the Han River bridges. We risk creating a society where the external gaze is always present, even in our deepest moments of solitude, undermining the very idea of a private inner architecture.
When public safety relies solely on automated vigilance, the urban environment becomes a detection system, not a supportive one. It prioritizes data capture over human connection, a flawed civic architecture. The design challenge is to integrate human touchpoints and mental health resources directly into these critical public spaces, shifting from surveillance to care architecture. Imagine accessible, confidential sanctuaries of calm within public parks, or easily identifiable, non-intrusive human support points, designed with empathy as the core function, not just observation. True resilience lies in building systems that empower individual agency and offer compassionate, human-centered pathways to support, rather than just automated alerts. We need spaces that invite dialogue, not just detection.
We've got our contrarian back on the line. Patching in a caller. Go ahead.
Does AI spotting attempts truly prevent them, or just shift where the desperation manifests?
How do we nurture community support without stifling its inherent, organic nature with bureaucratic frameworks?
Japan's new program recognizes businesses establishing nursing rooms, community cafeterias, and developing child-focused products, aiming to address the declining birth rate and support working parents in rural areas. The concrete facts include a certification process, likely involving specific criteria for facilities, services, and perhaps employee training. The exposure here is twofold. Rural families gain potential access to much-needed, formalized services, but small businesses face administrative hurdles, compliance costs, and potential loss of flexibility to qualify, potentially limiting participation among those who need it most. This could also create a tiered system where uncertified but equally valuable informal care networks are devalued. A viable alternative approach involves direct, unconditional funding for local cooperatives and community groups to design their own support systems based on immediate, self-identified community needs, fostering local innovation and autonomy rather than a top-down mandate. Our next move is to track how many rural businesses actually access and utilize the promised resources, and critically, how many are excluded by the certification process itself. while also measuring the true impact on childcare access and parental well-being in these communities.
This formalizes care with a government stamp, potentially replacing the subtle, reciprocal bonds of a village where a neighbor's kitchen was always open for a child in need. Picture a certified sign on a cafe door, stark against the tapestry of unwritten local agreements, the unspoken contracts of mutual aid that have sustained communities for generations. The true strength of community care lies in its organic growth, its adaptability, and mutual trust. A legacy now navigating a new bureaucratic landscape, it risks turning an act of communal love into a regulated service. The myth of the village raising a child is not about a certificate, but about a web of unconditional care. How do we ensure the architectural signal here is truly about supporting that web and not just imposing a new structure that could unravel it?
Certification offers a baseline, an initial structural scaffold, but authentic care evolves from within a community's unique civic architecture. It's about designing systems that enable rather than dictate. Consider the Gig Passport Mesh's local signal radar, which maps independent care networks and pop-up support spaces, fostering organic engagement and allowing communities to self-organize beyond formalized criteria. The architectural challenge is to design frameworks that are flexible enough to honor local provenance and empower self-determination, rather than imposing a monolithic top-down structure that may not fit the unique needs of diverse rural communities.
Our caller challenges the design.
Does government certification truly foster care, or just create another bureaucratic hurdle for businesses?
The undercurrents of autonomy and community persist, demanding our attention. Our task as sovereign architects is to discern their flow, separate the residue from the signal, and build with intention, always favoring consent, provenance, and dignity.
Play the next move.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.